I'm Diane Bernhardt, your Rotary Club president. And welcome to this special edition of our Rotary Club meeting, where we're going to recognize two exceptional community members as Park City's Citizens of the Year. Do you hear me well enough? Okay, great. So it's just easy to become absorbed in our own little worlds. We're all preoccupied with our tasks and our goals and our to-dos and our ambitions and especially our phones. That we get so engrossed in all these things about life that we forget our duty and our connection to the people around us. It ends up that the lives of others become less important than the lives of the people around us. Because we begin focusing solely on our own life. So, be a lamp, be a lifeboat, be a ladder. This was Rumi's notion. His notion was to carry an aim to be dutiful and the willingness to help the people we encounter every day. So, be a lamp. Illuminate the path you walk down and also illuminate the path of others. Like the stars, your light can guide others who are looking for direction. Be a lifeboat. Leave room in your life to pull others onto your boat when they need help navigating when life seas get really rough. And lastly, be a ladder. Elevate yourself by building your own ladder, then using that ladder to help others build theirs, so that they can rise to the rung of their greatest capacities and their most sincere desires. Welcome to Rotary. Before turning over this new gigantic pulpit to Bob Richer, I'd like to welcome two Rotarians who are visiting with us. It's Captain Jean Coleman and her husband Jerry. And they're from the Rotary Club of Tarpon Springs.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. So please welcome Bob Richer, who has long been the capable and dedicated steward of the Park City Rotary Citizens of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane, and welcome everybody. This is terrific. Jeez, look at this media presentation. Holy smokes. Once again, it's my pleasure to host this year's awards for the Jack Green Volunteer Citizen of the Year and the Linda Singer Barrett Professional Citizen of the Year. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fellow Rotarians, and numerous guests, many of whom will be introduced during the course of the program. But let me start by introducing two guests, both relatively new to our community, who bring new excitement, energy, and expertise in their role as president and CEO of the Park City Chamber and Visitors Bureau. That would be Jennifer Weiselhoff. Jennifer, where are you? Wave to the people. Stand up. And let's also welcome Joel Zarro, the president and CEO of the Park City Community Foundation. Joel, where are you? There's Joel back there. Okay, thank you guys. Glad to have you here. Today we will pay tribute to some great citizens of our community, past and present, and induct some new members into what is in effect our Hall of Fame. Our Citizen of the Year perpetual plaques, seen on my left and my right, with this year's inductees' names engraved, are on permanent display in the Park City Library on the first floor opposite room, trivia question 101. If you examine the names on the plaques, it truly is a who's who of the last 42 years of Park City and Summit County history. The people who helped fashion the community into what it is today. minus, of course, Park City Rotary Club members who are not eligible for this honor. So this ceremony serves not only as an induction, but as an opportunity to celebrate our history. But before we do so, please join me in a moment of silence to remember and recognize Bill Brown, our 2004 Volunteer Citizen of the Year, who passed away in February of this year. Gone but not forgotten. Bill Brown. Thank you. Let me acknowledge the Rotary Citizen of the Year Committee, consisting of Miles Rademan, Jan Wilking, Andy Bernhard, Allison Child, Melissa Band, and Rick Klein. Thank you, guys. And as a special surprise, and as tradition dictates, for at least a couple of decades, let's welcome a past Professional Citizen of the Year, a great friend of Rotary, the legend himself, and now special correspondent for KPCW. Yes, we've brought him out of retirement, our own Rick Bruffy Bruff. Where are you, Rick? Rick, it's a pleasure to once again say, please give us the blessings of the microphone. Thank you, thank you. I'm getting choked up. Before I introduce Dean Barrett, who will tell us about the Linda Singer Barrett Professional Citizen of the Year Award, I'd like to take a moment and speak about Dean's very good friend, and a good friend to many of us in the room, Jess Reed. Some have forgotten, and many don't know, the tremendous contributions Jess has made to Rotary and the community over the past 40-plus years. Jess has been a member of the Park City Rotary Club for almost 42 years, serving as a past president and as one of the few remaining who actually physically cleared brush, built the original structures, and created Rotary Park. Jess founded and established the Rotary Interact Club and served as a liaison for several decades, introducing many teenagers to Rotary. Jess, along with Dean, and in conjunction with Huntsman Cancer, created the now famous Running of the Balls, literally carting the first group of tennis balls up Main Street in a wheelbarrow. Jess and Jan Wilking are the only two in the almost 40-year history of the Park City Chamber and Visitors Bureau to serve multiple terms as the chairperson, helping to establish it as a viable entity in the early years. So Jess, stand up and take a well-deserved bow. Come on, Jess. Well, that's okay, and don't. That's enough said. Thanks, Jess. Now, Dean Barrett hasn't exactly been a slacker. Dean is one of the founding members of the club, which was formed in October of 1980. Dean was the fourth president of the club. Dean served on the Park City Planning Commission for a mere 13 years during one of our earlier battles with unprecedented growth. Barrett Lane in Prospector Square. It's not named for his mom or dad, it's named for Dean, acknowledging all of his years of hard work and contributions to our town. Let's welcome a great guy and longtime friend, Dean Barrett.
Thank you, Bob. We know that Bob and his committee do a tremendous job every year for this award. Bob will do a little bit further introduction about what we call the Jack Grain Citizen of the Year Award. And since 2001, when Bob was the president and I asked the board to consider naming the Professional Citizen of the Year after Linda Singer, Bob's board in 2001 agreed to that. And so since 2001, I've been honored to be able to introduce the Linda Singer Barrett Professional Citizen of the Year Award. This year, my task was made very, very easy because of one name, and that was Jennifer Jones. A short time ago, a relatively new Rotarian, Sabrina Richardson, I don't know if she's here. I don't even know her. Raise your hand. She gave a welcome message, and she said this welcome message is going to be about women in Rotary. And I thought that was very important. I wasn't in attendance, but I read about it on the Mogul. So when the president says to Rick Klein or to somebody you're taking minutes for the mogul, it really is important for guys who don't, for people who don't come to meetings like me. That's where I read that Sabrina talked about women in Rotary. So it's a very important job. Quick side note, I think we call it a Rotary Minute. Where's our new president? Attendance. My attendance is not very regular lately. There used to be an actual attendance requirement for Rotary. I don't know how many know that, but in the olden days you were required to attend, I don't know if it was 75% of the meetings, over a quarter or something like that. And so our club would give a prize for the Rotarian who in the previous quarter attended the most meetings, and that reward was like dessert. We were watching calories and costs back then, and the dessert was a scoop of ice cream or a piece of pie or something like that, and I always won the award. Well, wait a minute, four-way test. Norm Nelson, who's not here but a charter member, is in Arizona, sometimes won the award. Oh, and as I look around the room, Jim Lee sometimes won the award. So I can say that the award was usually won by Norm, Jim, or myself. Side note, like the four-way test. The handout on your table talks a little bit about Linda Singer, who was my wife, and it gives some information about women as well as information about her. And I'll talk about some things that Sabrina mentioned in her welcome message and that I'm going to put forth in my remarks today. I like audience participation, and we got a really large crowd today. So raise your hand if you are a member of the Park City Rotary Club on October 24th of 1980. Oh my gosh, there's two of us. Two charter members are here. That was the date we became chartered as a Rotary Club. There were 31 hand-picked good old boys that were chosen to be the Park City Rotary Club, and I say old. I was 31. Jan was probably a lot older than that. The average age was in the 30s. We were a young group of men in Park City. Our charter president was Ted War. Our second president was David Krajewski. Our third president was Jan Wilking, and the fourth was myself. We lost Ted a while back, unfortunately. So 42 years later, there's still what I'll call four relatively active charter members, and that would be Jan, David, myself, and Bill Coleman, who I don't see here. But that's a four people in 42 years, three of whom were past presidents. And so now Bob told me to give a 2.5-minute talk reminiscent of my LDS upbringings, and I will I'll add 30 seconds to that. I'll speak really fast.
Talk more about Linda.
On June 4th, 1987, there was a letter to the editor, June 4th, 1987, and it was written by Wallace E. Buchanan, Park City Rotary Club. And I'm going to read it. That's my 30 seconds. Now, the publisher was probably Jan Wilking. He probably still owned the paper. It was doing a transition to Mr. Bernhard and others. And I don't see the editor, but I wonder who the editor was in 1987, June of 1987. We'll ponder that for future. Oh, Terry Orr, someone mentioned. Terry Orr. So, dear editor, since your article entitled Rotary to Admit Women in your May 28th edition is so seriously lacking in information furnished to you by me regarding membership in Rotary, I am compelled to write this letter. The following is quoted from Rotary International press release that I furnished to you and should have been included in your article. Rotary will continue to follow all its admission requirements for members other than the male-only provision in those places where this provision is determined to be contrary to law. Members must be of good character and reputation and must hold some professional, proprietary, executive, or managerial position in their business or profession. Membership will continue to be by invitation with the intention of continuing to have within each club a cross-section of business, organizational, and professional leadership of the community who believe and practice Rotary's motto, service above self. So this was June 4th of 1987. I'll look up the May 28th edition to see what the letter said, and maybe the editor in the next meeting will elaborate on this a little bit. Wally Buchanan, who's no longer with us, was the president as his term ended in 1987. Here's another participation. Raise your hand if you are an active member of the Park City Rotary Club in December of 1980. Mr. Reed? Oh, Mr. Reed is almost a charter member, and he likes to go by that on his badge. It says, almost a charter member. Okay, now let's fast forward to the year 1987, 1988. Raise your hand if you were a member of the Rotary Club in 1987, 1988. A lot more hands come up. One of which is Jerry Gibbs, who's going to raise his hand a little bit higher. And Jerry's my guest today. He was the president of our club in 1987, former public works director. He's living his golden retirement years here in Park City now. Jerry was the president at the time women were allowed to come into the club. I like to think of Park City as visionary, trying to do new things, turn a collapsed mining industry into a ski resort. I mean, pretty significant stuff. But in 1987, we were not that visionary. Believe it or not, the Good Old Boy Club did not want to admit women into Rotary. Some of the Good Old Boy Club said, oh, we don't need females in this club, it'll ruin the club. Well, fortunately, Jerry, his board, and the membership prevailed, and common sense prevailed, and women were allowed to come into our club. Those two who joined at that point in time, Linda Singer and Lissa Bolin. Linda Singer was an elementary school principal. Lissa Bolin was a medical doctor. Remember, this was the 1980s, and women were supposed to be teachers, and women were supposed to be nurses, not administrators and principals and and doctors. And Rotary now allowed women to come into our club, which was a great idea, obviously. So raise your hand if you were a member of the Park City Rotary Club in 1994. A lot of hands should go up. 1994 was the year that Linda was elected to the president of our club. First female president. Did it in 7 years. You know, those of you who've been president, you go through the chairs, the avenues of service, and you serve as president-elect and become the president. She was the president only after 7 years. So it took her 7 years to become president. In the 28 years that followed, 14 of those presidents have been female. So that's 50% of the presidents since she became female president from a club that has about 30% women in it. So our leadership is coming from a minority represented, and they're doing a great job. I mentioned earlier, and I'm almost done. I mentioned earlier Jennifer Jones. It took Rotary International 33 years or 35 years, depending upon whether you look at the judicial decision that happened that allows, we can't discriminate against women, good decision by the courts, as opposed to some they're making lately, but 35 years when Rotary International actually amended its charter and said women should be invited to attend. Now, I realize 7 years for Park City, 33 years. It's not apples to apples, but it's kind of indicative that Rotary International allows an individual club to be independent, to chart its own course. You've all heard past district governors say that Park City is a little different than the average Rotary club. Those people who visit us wait for us to sing a song or say a prayer or pledge, and I don't have anything against those items. We sometimes don't follow tradition in that way. We're kind of independent. At a recent Rotary International meeting during this transition, people were cheering, and someone said to her, Jennifer, "Thank you for being the first female president." And Jennifer immediately responded, "But not the last." Linda took 7 years, then in the 28 years that followed, 14 additional people followed in her footsteps. So I say to Linda, to Lissa, to Jennifer, all female Rotarians and officers, thank you, because you made our club and Rotary International a much, much better club. Bob, turn the time back to you.
Thank you, Dean. Now, maybe on Jupiter, where a year is 957 days, that would be 2.5 minutes. I don't know exactly how the relativity theory works, but if everybody else does that, we will be out by 3. So, not a problem. Okay. Thank you, Dean. And Dean, by the way, is wearing one of the original Rotary team shirts. And we also had a white hat, matching hat, which many years ago I would trade my old hat for a new hat with, and I give those old hats to Dean because he is even more of a traditionalist than I am. Okay, let's get to some of these awards, shall we? We have a unifying theme this year. Both of our award winners have significantly helped the children of our community in many, many ways. The first recipient has been teaching life skills to 9 and 10-year-olds on the ski slopes for the last 34 years as the head coach of the DeVo program with Park City Ski and Snowboard. So as anyone with children who like to ski over the last 3-4 decades already knows, that would be Dar Hendrickson, this year's recipient of Rotary's Professional Citizen of the Year Award. Big round of applause for Dar. Now, before Dar comes forward, let me introduce 2 fine gentlemen who will give you the details of why we are honoring Dar today. First, we have Bob Marsh, a former director of the Park City Ski Team Junior Racing Program from 1975 to 1996. The founder of the Park City Ski Education Foundation, the first nonprofit to support youth skiing, the co-founder of the Winter School, a former U.S. Olympic Committee worker, and our Citizen of the Year award winner way back in 1989. Bob, you were 15 at the time, I believe. Joining him will be someone who won 2 Olympic gold medals. I guess that eliminates most of us in the room. Put your hand up if you've won 2 Olympic gold medals. Anyone? Put your hand. Oh, hey, I see somebody right here. There's someone. Yes, 2 Olympic gold medals, the winner of 5 World Cup titles, the winner of 5 season titles, mostly in GS, 52 podiums in World Cup competition, our very own Park City born and raised, whose birthday is a week from tomorrow. Remember it like it was yesterday. Your dad was a wreck, your mom was calm. Ted Ligety, come on up, guys.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Bob, and it's very nice to see all of you here today and fun to see so many people that I don't see much anymore. I first met Dar when he came to ski race for the Park City Ski Team as a postgraduate competitor during 1979-80 ski season. While he was still enrolled in the Northern Michigan University, Dar was a great addition to our team during the season and was well liked by team members and staff. Following the ski season, Dar came to Park City to compete in the NCAA Alpine Finals, and during that time he rekindled his relationship with the people that he had met the year before, and like many of us, really liked Park City. When Dar finished college that next fall, he decided to move to Park City permanently and continued to compete in local races in and around Park City in the Intermountain area. When Dar finished college, his competitive career and turned his attention to coaching, it wasn't long after Dar's talents as a ski coach were recognized by a parent who most of you people know in this room, Melanie Lewis, and a family name that we all recognize. And a well-known person like Melanie knew Dar's talents, and Dar approached it and asked if he would consider coaching a small group of young 9 and 10-year-old skiers. It was 1987 when Dar brought the idea to us, and that was the beginning of Dar's Devos. Looking back, it may have been one of the best decisions the program could have made for everyone involved. Dar redefined the role of coaching young athletes and turned it into an art form that was exciting to watch. Clearly, Dar had the technical skills and was more than qualified to teach skiing after a successful junior and college ski racing career, but it was Dar's philosophy, passion and love of sport and the mountains, and his desire to pass it on to his kids that set Dar apart. Over the years, I watched Dar single-handedly apply his magic on and off the hill that would provide a recipe for young, impressionable kids to learn how to ski fast, stay safe, while teaching important life skills along the way. I'd like to just share with all of you some of the most basic rules that Dar used in his coaching and teachings. I'd love to say lesson plan, but Dar didn't really have one on paper. But I knew and I trusted he had one in his head, and that's all that mattered. The first one, still the most important one, is to have fun. Ski fast, don't get caught, and let the mountain terrain do the rest. Being able to ski trees was a most important requirement for the group, and for a bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds, that was easy. To this day, there are many hidden trails all around the Park City Mountain, and they're gems, and they were named by Dar and all the Devos, and those names and new ones live on today. Second one, take personal responsibility. Carry your own skis and be on time. I can remember on numerous occasions I would get a phone call on Saturday morning from a Devo parent that they couldn't find Dar at the normal meeting place. And I would ask the parent, "What time is it?" And he would obviously figure it out right away that Dar had already left. And the parent was standing there with the child, very embarrassed. Dar would always leave the designated time, and in most cases embarrass the parent and the Devo, and it likely didn't happen again. Or, this is a good one. You can all see this. Dar scolding a parent that was caught carrying their skid skis. Only Dar can get away with that. Be kind to others. No bullying, no infighting, no squabbling. I would enjoy hearing about the kids not getting along on the hill after a good practice day, and watching Dar over time figure out how to turn the kids into best friends or turn the challenge into competitive success. 4, commitment, stick-to-itiveness. Never give up, and he drew the correlation between the more time practicing, the better you will be. I think it's fairly obvious with Ted and other members of the Devos back then. They're living proof that that worked. Dar is a perfect example of hard work. He literally wore himself out on the hill every day. Dar did not miss many days. I can't remember one, as a matter of fact. And I don't know how many body parts left you have to replace, Dar, but I'm sure there's a few. Not many. I'll never forget a couple years ago, I was out skiing and I saw Dar and the group skiing. And many of you may not know this, but Dar's not very good following people. He's always in the lead. And Dar was way behind the group. And I went up into Dar and I said, "Well, Dar, what are you doing in the rear?" She says, "I'm here, aren't I?" I'm just in the back. I think that was the year of new hips, if I remember correctly. Believe in yourself and stay positive. If you can conceive it, you can believe it, and you can achieve it. Whenever I would ask Dar how the things are going, the answer would always be, best day ever. While Dar had a huge impact for what he was teaching and doing on the Hill, Dar's off-hill talents are just as impressive. He's a master chef, giving of his time for all these years and his resources to raise money for the Park City Ski and Sport Club. And not to mention his talents as costume designer for the oh so many events here in Park City and all those special occasions that Dar would always bring a smile to everyone who could see him. Dar is also the glue that keeps this team and the drumbeat for many of us, doesn't forget people from the past, always tries to bring them together. Dar is the gift that keeps on giving and never asks for anything in return. We all know that behind every successful man is a good woman. No exception here. Leslie has supported Dar's journey and the team every step of the way. Hopefully this award for Dar and the Citizen of the Year award Leslie received in 2015 hold a special place for you both and give you the deserved recognition you deserve. I could not be more proud of the exceptional work and the positive impact Dar has provided to the thousands of kids, parents, and Park City community for the past 35 years. Congratulations, Dar.
All right, hold the standing ovation until after Ted finishes.
And Bob, thank you for being brief.
5 minutes, Bob.
On Jupiter, 5 minutes.
And thanks, Bob. It's I think what Bob said and what I have to say is very tied together. We all came to Dar as kids, and after winter with Dar, we were still kids. But Dar helped us have a better sense of ourselves and our potential. We learned some independence, found some balls, and gained a whole new vocabulary. A winter with Dar was not just about learning how to ski better, but we all have cherished memories of walking to the 7-Eleven with our skis over our shoulders, in our ski boots because a parent was caught carrying one of our skis. He encouraged us to go beyond what we thought we were capable of. We fell more often with Dar than we'd ever did before or after. We'd yard sail, trying to beat the Devo record off Moosehead, and then look up at Dar with a face full of snow and ask him if we beat the record. And he'd shake his head, say, "Nope, you had to stick it." So we'd gather our gear up and hike back up and do it again. We learned all the hidden, unmarked runs along the trail or along the mountain with names that our parents would blush at when we asked what they meant later that evening. But most of all, we had fun and found a deeper love of skiing. He often coached your skiing with hidden life lessons. Like when you're standing at the top of Scott's Bowl jumping off the cornice, he would say, you can go chicken shit right, or chicken shit left, or straight the fuck off. I found that applies to most things in life. In 30 years of racing, I've had countless coaches who have made an impact in various ways, but I have more memories of Dar that my friends and I still laugh about today than any other time. I've learned more in a year with Dar than many years over the career of a professional ski racing career. So as a community, we've been exceptionally lucky to have Dar as a longtime fixture of Park City skiing. I can't think of anybody more deserving of this award that has more of a lasting impact on Park City's kids than Dar. He has been a rite of passage for all of us Devos. I just have one ask for Dar, actually. 8 more years. I have 2-year-old twins and a 5-year-old, and so I keep needling Dar every time I see him that he's going to stick it around so my kids can have the privilege of, they're 2 and 5. You can do it. You'll be the bionic man by then. But the experience of just learning how to grow on the mountain, your love for skiing, and just having so much fun. So thank you so much, Dar.
Now let's hear it for Dar. come on up, Dar, and here, take your plaque. Tom's going to take a picture. We'll get Diane. Okay.
Best day ever.
Just step forward. Keep going. Diane, you should. Okay, and we also have some flowers for you. Okay. Perhaps we should give it to Leslie.
I think we should get.
Whew. I'm truly humbled by this. When Bob called me up to ask me to come by his office, I was like thinking I was in trouble, going to the principal's office. What have I done? And when he told me, I was emotional and floored, you know. And I feel blessed to have chosen this town to live in. That a skier is an important part of the community, and I think that's just says a lot about our community. I mean, we are a ski community, and I'm just blessed to be here. I just remember meeting Bob at Mount Hood, finding out that asking if we could come to Park City to be on the PG, to be on the ski team. It was just the best decision. My parents weren't exactly thrilled with me that I was moving between my junior and senior year of college, but it's the best decision I ever made, and I know in the end they were very happy for me and Leslie that we moved here. First, I'd really like to thank Leslie. She's my dear wife for a long time, 33 years, and she is affectionately known as a ski widow. And I think anybody that's in the ski business knows their wives make a lot of sacrifices, and thank you truly, and I will love you forever. Okay, so the day when my first day of Devo skiing, I remember skiing down, and I had 5, 6 kids, and we went down payday, get down to the bottom at the end of the day, and I said, I love this job. I think this is a job I could do for a while. I wasn't planning 35 years, and then only 8 more?
Yeah.
Only 8 more, so I can't even do that kind of math, you know? And the reality is, you know, I do have a way of connecting with kids. I'm probably better with kids than adults. And that's probably true. And, you know, the reality about coaching is we're not solving world problems. Is that better, Leslie? You know, we're not solving world problems, but what we are is creating young people who have some gumption in them, they have some abilities, you know, and they have a future. And if you can help change a kid's future, that's pretty nice. One thing I always say is I don't make results, I make attitudes how they approach their results, which is, you know, none of these kids ever asked me to take their race run for them, so and that's probably a good thing, you know. And you know, we have standards and expectations, and when a little kid is given responsibilities, it is amazing how that they buy into it. Take care of your own equipment. I have some letters. I used to be able to take kids to 7-Eleven, but Safe Sport says no. I'm writing this essay because my dad was carrying my skis. I know that we are not allowed to do that, but Mike did it because he's nice to me. I know that I'm supposed to carry my skis because it's my equipment and part of being responsible. Anyway, just I got boxes of letters. And, you know, again, be on time, show up as many days as you can, do the best you can every day you're there. Have fun, it's a long road, let the lessons build upon each other. And, you know, and talked about the mountain safety. I have one here, Dear Dar, very sorry for tucking in the slow zone. I could have crashed into somebody or somebody could have crashed into me. The ski patrol could have seen me and I would have gotten in trouble. So. And you know, in the end, I just want to give my kids a fair advantage to have some heads up, some
step ahead of the other kids their age. And I believe, when we look at the skiers that I have here, some people collect cars, I collect skiers. And I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. I'm beyond honored, and I'm going to ask this, that at the parade, any of my former Devos, future Devos, or people wish they were Devos, that want to carry their skis and walk behind me, I would be blessed. Thank you very much.
Great job. Thank you, Dar. As Bob Marsh pointed out, Dar is married to Leslie Thatcher, our 2015 Professional Citizen of the Year. A little editorial comment. You should be listening to Leslie every morning on KPCW. And if you are new to town, you should listen to KPCW and subscribe to the Park Record. Not only should you love Park City, you need to know Park City and be an engaged citizen. Leslie and Dar join Lou and Arlene Fine, Rich's mom and dad, were there. Candy and Bruce Erickson, Mary and Charlie Windsor, and Scott and Carol Loomis as the fifth couple to receive Joint Citizen of the Year honors. Okay. Fist bump, very 2022, yeah. Okay. All right, a little more history before we present the Jack Green Volunteer Citizen of the Year Award. Before Mayor Nan, or Mayor Andy Bierman, or Jack Thomas, or Dana Williams, or Brad Olch, or Hal Taylor, there was Jack Green. Jack was our mayor from 1978 to 1986 and is the namesake of our award. Jack Green helped guide Park City in the transition years from a slow, sleepy little town to the beginnings of the modern resort city we know today. Accomplishments such as street signage in Old Town. Yeah, when I moved here, they said, go to Woodside, and you go, there's no sign that says which one's Woodside. You learn Park Avenue, Woodside, Norfolk, etc. Street signage in Old Town, the Deer Valley Belt Route, moving the Miners Hospital to City Park and retrofitting it as our library, used to be our library, all occurred during Jack's years, with a lot of help from council members such as Bob Wells, Tina Lewis, Helen Alvarez, Bill Coleman, and others. Next time you are in City Park, take a look at the bandstand named in Jack's honor and read the plaque talking of Jack's contributions to our community. The paraphrased version goes something like this, quoting Jack. In the 50s, things were pretty tough around Park City. In this time of trouble, I turned my eyes to the heavens and said, please God, help us. Recognizing that God helps those who help themselves, I became a part of the first effort to obtain a federal grant for economically distressed cities. And by the early 60s, the Park City ski area had opened. By the 70s, we were a boom town growing at a pace I never believed possible. So now, in looking back at God's generosity, when I turn my eyes to the heavens, I say, please God, let's not be ridiculous. I wonder what Jack would think about Park City of today. Okay. This year's Volunteer Citizen of the Year is a very humble, modest, and self-effacing individual who cares about children, education, diversity, equity, social justice, and more. She has quietly worked for the past 25 years, making Park City better for all. Please join me in saluting this year's Volunteer Citizen of the Year, Beano Solomon. Let's hear it for Beano. To help celebrate Beano, let's have Terry Moffett, one of the co-writers, co-creators, creators of The Follies, and Diego Zagara, the Vice President of Equity and Impact for the Community Foundation, come forward. Guys?
Well, I'm going to be really short and sweet. I put my words in a poem. so you know it has a beginning and a quick end. Beano is cherished, loved, and adored, and here she is getting another award. Every honor she deserves, all the praise is sincere, and now she is Rotary Volunteer of the Year. Yes, she is generous and quick with donations. She's a major supporter of several foundations. She lifts up the have-nots. She's a benevolent have. But have you ever stopped to admire her calves? My God, they're shapely. Her thighs are too. It's what hiking, dancing, and good genes will do. And her skin, it's luminescent. And she's, I'll bet she gets carded at 7-Eleven. When she gets behind something, this woman won't rest. She took first in a dance contest at Ballet West. Her smile and her sequins dazzled in the photos, and no one holds a candle to her mushroom risotto. This is a woman who sued the state to have Gays Rock on her license plate. She's a Pride Center favorite, and the light of her life is her child Virginia and Jen, their wife. Ask if she's an activist, she'll shake her head, but she'll always speak up when something ought to be said. To her, it's not the money, it's not what's in fashion, it's having the vision, the will, and the passion. Writing checks isn't hard, she'll say with a smile. It's easy to support what you think is worthwhile. What's hard is the foresight, the commitment, and the drive. It's where she shines, improving so many lives. What she's done for Park City is truly off the charts, but what I admire most is the compassion in her heart. But the way to really thank her and not be a burden is to put on the Red Sox and pour her a bourbon. I'll end my words here with one last mention. Mrs. Solomon is only tolerating all this attention.
How the heck does she do that? Diego, do you have a poem?
Bob did not mention I was going to be following that. He's like, just some remarks, Okay, I didn't realize, Terry, you crushed it. Good work. Hello, everyone. My name is Diego Zagara. For some of you know that I used to be a member for about 4 years, so it feels a little bit like a high school reunion. What's up, kids? Oh, please keep John Hendrickson under control. He threatened with heckling throughout my remarks, so that table, please. Rotary. Thanks, John, as promised. I started working at Park City Community Foundation 6 years ago yesterday. Thanks, Katie. Monday, August 22nd of 2016. Our former executive director, Katie Wright, was out on maternity leave, and she came in that week to welcome me and ask on day 1 or 2, I swear, if I'd be interested in working on a project that was a little bit outside my scope of work, but because I had worked with kids in after-school programs, she thought it made sense. There was this person in the community, I didn't know the name at the time, apologies, Beano, Beano Solomon, who had expressed an interest in increasing access to skiing and snowboarding for Latino youth in our community. She recognized the need, and she wanted to do something about it. And so about 3 or 4 weeks after that, we sat down on her porch, and Beano made a significant commitment for us to start what is now the Solomon Fund. We walked out of that meeting, and Katie said, "That doesn't happen all the time, by the way." But that was my first donor meeting, and I was trying to understand and wrap my head around what's my job at the Community Foundation going to look like. And I look at that moment as one of the most meaningful days in my time there, because it allowed me to do something I'm really passionate about as well. So I look back at that partnership with Beano and where I'm at today, and I'm certain I wouldn't be here had it not been for that afternoon. The Solomon Fund since has grown, and our job is to connect Latino youth to all sports and rec opportunities in our community. And I should say thank you to everyone who's a supporter in this room. Since I've known Beano, she's always been a champion for historically marginalized folks. Immigrants, queer communities, the uninsured, and others on the socioeconomic margins of our town. She has demonstrated this support with meaningful financial contributions, yes, but more importantly, by getting deeply involved with the organizations doing the work of closing these inequities. I say this with love, a week doesn't go by when I don't hear from Beano. And it's questions about the work that we're doing, and she rolls up her sleeves and gets in it with us. Beano is honest, caring, and always learning. I'm proud to call her a friend. Through these years, this has been one of the most meaningful partnerships I've had in this community, and again, I'm certain that I wouldn't be here had it not been for that one conversation. So, thank you, Beano. End of remarks.
You want to mention how many kids the Salmon Farm and how many? Not end of remarks.
Not end of remarks, as Bob said. Bob reminds me that to share some statistics about the Solomon Fund, that in the 6 years since its inception, has granted out just shy of $800,000, and through the years connected, if I'm doing the math correctly, last year was about just last year alone, about 600 Latino students with opportunities, and our goal was always to mirror the demographics of the school district. When we first started doing this work, about 23% of students in the school district identified as Latino. Today it's 19%, or almost 20%. Last year, we reached 19% participation from Latino students with the partners that we work with, and that is something you should be really proud of, Beano. So, now you can go.
Okay. Before we invite Beano up to accept her award, we have something a little unexpected and special planned. In fact, the awards committee is totally unaware of what comes next, and I'd like to point out this was not factored into their deliberations. I'd like to invite Pat Matheson, the Executive Director of Mountain Lands Community Housing, to the podium to join Diego for an exciting announcement. And by the way, Pat and Diego are two of, as some of you will get this reference, as Vic Ayers used to say, two fine young men, and two of my favorites.
All right.
We stand side by side.
Yes, we will. So this is symbolic. Pat and I standing side by side because
Because of the height difference?
you know,
the hair.
The hair
Focus
is
on the hair.
I'm trying.
Goodness.
Yes, also because of the height difference. But so we in this room know what are some of the biggest challenges our community faces, and it's unsurprising that affordable housing, workforce housing, attainable housing continues to be the #1 critical challenge for our community. The Community Foundation prides itself in setting the table for these big conversations to occur, and we're doing something we've never done before, which is help and support very intentionally another nonprofit organization, Mountain Lands Community Housing Trust, in raising $1 million. So, pause for effect. Pause for drama. The reason why this announcement is meaningful today is because this $1 million match is coming from the Solomon family. The Solomon family, yes, please. It's not surprising the Solomon family has an eye for inequities and jumps in to address them. The Community Foundation is committed to raising another $1 million over the next 9 to 12 months. And I'm going to invite Pat to say words.
Thank you, everyone. Beano, thank you. I am, and Jen and Virginia, thank you so much. I am so grateful for the partnership of Diego Zagara, the Community Foundation, and the Solomon family in supporting this critical need of affordable housing in our community. All of you think of where you live. Just imagine your home right now. That's safety. It's foundational to your life. It's foundational to our community. We need to support the housing opportunities in our community. Visionary people like Beano Solomon and her family are creating more opportunities in our community, and I am deeply grateful for that support. Over the next 9 to 12 months, Mountainlands is going to be partnering with the Community Foundation and others to raise a matching $1 million to Beano's generous $1 million donation to Mountainlands Community Housing Trust. Thank you, Beano.
What's that, John Hanrahan? Where is it? How is Mountainlands going to utilize the money? Great question. Yeah.
For the first time in Mountainlands history, we are raising funds to support a particular project. We've typically raised funds for our operations and to build our capacity, which we still do, and we're grateful for your support. We are now raising this $1 million and the $1 million on top to match to support the redevelopment of two of our community's staple housing developments, Holiday Village and Parkside Apartments by Dozier Field and the high school. Those properties have been there for 40 years, 122 units. They've served thousands of families, many people who you know, and probably many more who you don't realize have lived in those apartments over the decades. So we are so grateful to Virginia, Jen, and Beano for your visionary support. We love you and we thank you. Thank you.
Pat will be our Rotary guest speaker 2 weeks from today, and he'll talk to you more about those plans and some of the history of Mountainlands. And surprising to a lot of people who say, you can't do affordable housing, he'll tell us what Mountainlands has done over the past 20 plus years and what the future will hold. And I'll tell you, as one of our board members has said, this is an affordable housing moment. And the Board of Realtors will be having an event on Saturday, September 9th. Friday, September 9th. Oh, we'll be there because it's our anniversary. We always like to spend our anniversary at a community party. When it was switched from Saturday to Friday, I went, oh no, I have to talk to my wife about this. Okay, but it'll be a lot of fun. Look for the advertisements in the Park Record and other places, and hope that you can participate and join that fun party. Okay, Beano, please come forward and receive the praise you so richly deserve. Beano Solomon, this year's Volunteer Citizen of the Year. Wait, Beano, pardon me.
You're all up to something.
Well, we forgot this. Wait a minute, you get your plaque. Come on over here.
I'll talk first.
You get some flowers.
Oh,
Sure.
and I'll get those later.
Okay.
Give them to Terry. I did not prepare any remarks. As you've noted, I don't like being in the limelight. And if I can remember them, I thought of a third one. I kind of have two little Rotary stories. Dar included Virginia one day when Virginia was out here and didn't have anybody to ski with. Virginia skied with the Devo team with Sally Elliott's daughter, Kat. Okay. And I have actually been a Rotarian. When I lived in D.C., I joined Rotary so that I could join when I came here, thinking you could be grandfathered. You can't. And my classification was farmer. We had horses. I really don't want to say anything more than to introduce my guests, my children, Virginia and Jen, and my friends Nicholas and Veronica. Nicholas and Veronica, will you stand up? The four of them are all that matter in my life. They're the most important people. And I really do forget whatever else I was going to say. I know. I watched my parents do a lot. My father wasn't able to serve in World War II, so when there were no men left after the war, my father volunteered to be mayor of the town. My parents were always doing, not on the scale that we're able to now, running the ski, it was called ski skate sale at our school. We know it's now the big ski
sail here in the fall. We just watched our parents do this. And what I realized at some point in my life was, maybe it was my freshman year in college, that no, I didn't want to be president, but I could get a hospital built in my town. So I try to improve my local town. Virginia went to a very large university, so I could give $1 billion to that university, and it probably wouldn't make any difference. We don't have $1 billion, but what you can do in a small town, oh Lord, today's paper said some guy gave over $1 billion to a Republican PAC. I thought, dude, what you could do with that. Anyway, all right, thank you to everybody. It really is a very great honor, and it's really an honor to be able, that our family can do what we are able to do. We are very lucky. Thank you.